I think at one point or another, everyone even remotely creative will find themselves in a rut of some sort. For me, my rut was going on for about 2.5, 3 months. I didn't feel like I was producing anywhere near the standard of work I knew I was capable of. I knew that I hadn't had any new clients in a long, long time. And whilst most photographers or videographers out there would maybe go and buy a new piece of gear, maybe buy a new photo book, I decided to take it one step further and book an all-inclusive resort and go on holiday. I think actually if you boil it down per person, it cost about the same as a new lens would have done. So I'm kind of in the black on this one. So we planned a trip for Danny's 30th. We wanted to do a big all-inclusive in Greece, just a week away in the Mediterranean sun in October. And we would pretty much guaranteed between sort of 23 and 27 degrees every single day. So yeah, we jumped on a 4-hour plane, then a 45-minute Mad Max style dash to the hotel. Pretty certain there's no such thing as a driving test in Greece based off my very limited research. But yeah, I decided whilst I was out there, I was going to do a bit of a think about what I wanted to do with photography. But why not go there, shoot some film, make a film, and put it up on YouTube for everyone to watch. So the clip that he's currently playing has incredibly bad audio because I couldn't work out how the microphone worked. I can work it out now because I'm not 3 years old. But basically what I'm saying is I had 2 Yashicas with me. I had my relatively newly acquired Yashica Lynx 5000E, which is a rangefinder, fixed focal length, 45mm 1.8 lens on a leaf shutter. Makes quite a nice noise. And then I also had my trusty Yashica B, which is a TLR style, and again leaf shutter. They're both very, very similar cameras. If you boil them down, it's just one shoots 120 format, one shoots 35 format, but to be honest with you, they both have exactly the same mechanics going on. The film choices were a little bit odd. Anyone who's watched this video for more than 20 minutes might know that I have a real affinity for black and white film because I develop it all myself in my bath. I like being in control of things. So obviously I took a fair amount of black and white film with me, but I also made sure to take Kodak Gold in 120 format, which was the only roll of 120 I took. I figured there will be at some point a need for a bit of medium format resolution with the landscapes Greece has going on, and having shot gold before, kind of like it, so we're going to roll with that. And I took one roll of colour for the 35 camera. I took a roll of ProImage 100. Again, I've shot it recently for that shoot I did not long ago. Really like the film, and it's a pro level film. I figured 100 speed would be more than enough. In Greece, it's going to be bright and sunny, so yeah. So I'd headed to chemistry film lab in Brighton, brought both those rolls, and then I was also going to be shooting on Kentmere 200. Not really by choice. I'd rather have had Kentmere 4, but Alex was completely out of stock of it, so I grabbed a few rolls of Kentmere 200 and figured I could push it to 400 and it would be all right. And then just to be on the safe side, I had a roll of HP5 400, which I was going to push to 800 because that's my stable. I know exactly how that film's going to look. I know exactly how to expose it. I've shot it for long enough now. I've shot hundreds of rolls of it, and I know exactly what's going on. Something fun though on the Yashica is I did find a yellow filter for my Yashica Lynx, and it's actually a Y2 branded. So I think it's technically a yellow-green filter, but it's actually Yashica dated, and this would have been sold with the camera when it came out. I found it on eBay and went, that's a good idea, I'm going to get one of those. There you go, we were currently loaded up with HP5, pushed to 800, and then I've thrown a yellow filter on it. So make your mind up in the comments about how stupid I am for doing that, but it is what it is. Essentially, I'm shooting it at 400, but with the, yeah, it worked. Don't worry about it. After getting to the hotel, unpacking, loading in the film, doing all the fun stuff that Danny absolutely loves for me to do, We wanted to go and get a bit of a idea of where we were, where our surroundings were, what the resort was like. You know, you got to go and suss these things out before you just start shooting. I took just the Yashica, just took 35mm out rather, with some HP5, with the yellow filter on it, and just started wandering around really. We wanted to sort of know where the nearest bar was. That was a biggie thing. We wanted to know where the pools were. We wanted to know how close we were to the sea. You got to figure all these things out. We also wanted to know how the resort works. Having never gone to a resort like this in my life either, I've only ever done a sort of bed and breakfast style one. You know, where do you get your dinner from? Where do you put your towels? Where do you get your towels from? How does the bar work? How does the queue system work? You know, we're British, we need to know how the queue system works. Initially, I did feel a little bit odd. I was essentially shooting street of someone else's holiday, and it just got a little bit, I just immediately felt a bit strange about it. So tried to not document people as much, rather as, you know, I'd rather document the place. I figured this also would be quite a nice change because I don't do a lot of landscape photography. I do a lot of street and a lot of portraiture. So this is going to be a real big reset and kind of open my eyes a little bit. We went back up to the room, fully unpacked, checked the TV as well. Got to try and see if there's any English channels, and the date for some reason put us in 2081 or something. Not quite sure what future this TV is living in, but hopefully the world's still kicking at that point. So had a bit of a walk around on the first day, got some free drinks. It did feel weird getting drinks and not paying for them, but I think we got used to that as the week went on. So we woke up to a great view, but unfortunately a bit shit weather. It happens, you're not going to get 100% weather everywhere you go, but yeah, there was nothing really we could do. Plans of sort of laying by the beach had gone out the window completely, and we'd resorted to essentially just food and drink. When in doubt, food and drink. It's all free. So that was pretty much all we did that day. We did happen to make some friends. I wouldn't consider them to be close friends, but they did share their sun cream lotion with us. And as a ginger at a high risk of skin melanoma, I was incredibly grateful for their Factor 50 that we worked out cost them nearly 30 euros. I should have really taken a photo of them. She had a snake skin tattoo like halfway up her arm. It was kind of cool, but I didn't because I felt a little bit awkward in social situations. What they had suggested was the weather had been bad for them for a couple of days, and they had rented a car and sort of driven around the island. We could have done this. Kira can drive, Alan can drive, me and Danny cannot, we're passenger princesses. However, we sort of thought it's not really fair to make someone drive. We're on holiday, we're going to enjoy it. So instead we sort of made a bit of a plan for the following day. The weather was going to be bad for till sort of midday, early afternoonish the following day. So we thought we would wake up and head over to Malia. So the third day was here. Again, we woke up to a great view, but this time actual raindrops on the window. I'm not quite sure what we were expecting. We literally checked the weather and it said rain. So it was raining. But we arrived in Malia. Technically, we arrived in Malia Old Town. That was one of the very big things. I'm not a drinker. Kira's not really a drinker. Danny and Alan, they have a drink, but they're, Alan's over 30, Danny was 30. So they realised that the strip of Malia might not be for us. We like a bit more of a sedate lifestyle. I used up the roll of HP5 on some unsuspecting buildings and cats, lots of cats in Greece. They make excellent portrait subjects, and usually you get a gang of people around them and all of this sort of stuff. Eventually though, I'd blown my way through the HP5, and so it was time to try out the Kentmere. It was perfect conditions for it, really. We had lovely sunshine. I knew Kentmere had decent latitude based on my experience with Kentmere 4, Kentmere 1. Also, it's a black and white with low silver, so it's going to be quite flat anyway. I figured push it to 400, throw a yellow filter on it just to make sure, like, the sky in Greece is so blue, I didn't want to overpower everything. Malia Old Town is actually a really nice place to go and visit. So if you are in Greece near Malia and you go, actually we want to go and look at some nice buildings and have a walk around a town and find a nice quiet place to have a drink, Malia Old Town is actually very, very good. We found a very old bar with an English barmaid in it. She'd been there since I think she said she'd been there since like 1980 something. She loved it. They had homemade orange juice and homemade lemonade, homemade cakes, and it was incredibly cheap and made for a very nice photo of all of us, which was quite nice. Started to fire away, and again, a little bit of uncertainty on how things were going to come out, but I really do quite like this shot of the abandoned building. I jumped up a fence to get it, nearly got run over by about 3 cars. Everyone in the group thought I was an idiot, but the shot was kind of cool. It was kind of worth it, but in reality, I didn't need to put that risk. I was just being a bit slapdash and a bit fun. We did have lunch in Malia. Eating outdoors in October felt a bit weird, especially when I was eating an omelette outdoors, listening to, I'm not even sure what the music was, but I know that there was a lot of Red Hot Chili Peppers being played at that restaurant. We did end up at one of the weirdest souvenir stores I've ever seen. It was, I think, 3 stories, so you go in on the second, there's one up and one down, and honestly, you could buy anything there. I found a Pikachu hat, which unfortunately I didn't buy because it was broken. There was any type of ashtray, ranging from your bog standard pub one right the way through to your elaborate semi-pornographic one. There was vases, plates, bottle openers. There was actual porn DVDs. It was a very, very odd shop. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend going into that one. That's a bit of a scarring moment. Having left the weird shop, I finally was able to secure a Fanta Lemon. I'd been in Greece for 3 days now and I hadn't had one. So I managed to secure Fanta Lemon and a holiday cig. Your boy was happy. Anything else that happened that week after those 2 things, didn't matter. I was happy. We did unfortunately get stuck in quite an intense rain shower in Malia just as we were heading home. Luckily, we were on our way back up the hill to go and get a taxi, and it just decided to dump it down. And this is something that we were kind of seeing with the weather. You can see it roll in and you kind of have to judge how long you've got. And we could tell by the way all the staff in shops started pulling everything in before it rained. We knew it was going to be quite a big one. But yeah, we hid inside for a bit, and I actually got a little bit lucky. I quite like shooting after the rain ends and you've got the wet ground and all the puddles, especially with a yellow filter and throwing in some contrast. So I managed to get what I would consider to be my best photo of the trip, which is this one. I just really like it. I like the fall off. I like the multi-layers inside of it. As I said, I'm not a good landscape photographer, so being able to do something like this to me is quite a big deal. And to be honest with you, I saw it 3 or 4 times and had to go back and get it because it was one of those shots where I was like, I need this. We jumped in a taxi back to the hotel with our lovely taxi driver. I can't remember her name for the life of me, but essentially she described her life and she was a saint. She looks after old people, people with disabilities. She's got like 1 billion cats. She rescues strays off the streets. She gets them adopted in the UK. She gave us her card, so if ever we want to adopt a cat, we can adopt one from her, and dogs as well. And then she drives a taxi because she's bored, basically. And yeah, so I don't know. She'll never watch this video. She'll never see it probably, but she's an absolute legend, and she's definitely going to be rewarded in the afterlife for sure. So day 4 was finally upon us. Danny's 30th birthday was here, and we started exactly the way we start every other birthday, which is opening presents in bed with a coffee. There was alcohol available, however Danny chose to wait, which shows a sign of maturity, I think. Everyone apart from me had decided to go and get massages. They booked them on day 2 when we got there. I'm not one for a massage. I don't really like the idea of being greased and rubbed down by a stranger. So whilst they all chose to go and get massaged, I went on a little bit of an excursion outside of the resort. I'd been trapped in there for sort of 3 days and I wanted to go and have a bit of an explore of some rockery areas. So I headed out to a local beach. Right, it's been a couple of days and we haven't really shot much film because, well, I've been busy trying to not shoot film. Oh God, why aren't these stones more comfortable? Why isn't Greece designed for fat fucks like me, eh? Yeah, so basically I've got 1 shot left in this, which I'm just going to use on this now because I actually am in the spot I wanted to be in for this. It's been a couple of days. It's Thursday now, and I last spoke to you on, I don't even fucking know when, Tuesday, Monday, can't remember, when I was basically getting everything set up. I've shot a couple of rolls of film. I've tried out Kentmere 200 for the first time. I'm going to be pushing it to 400, and I've put a yellow filter on it to kind of counteract the push to 400. But I've heard that basically push it and then it gets I've heard mixed things, but from what I can gather, it needs to be pushed to get a bit of contrast in it. So we're going to push it to 4. We've thrown the yellow filter on just because everything here, there's sea and sky and blue, so I just want to bring that down a little bit. So yeah, mixed results. We'll see what we get out of it. But now, for a one and only time special, it's not going to be a one and only time special because I shoot the stock all the time. We're going to be shooting on some ProImage. I never shoot colour, mostly because I like to develop everything myself, because as all photographers I think we're all quite control freaks. But I love this film stock, and Alex at Chemistry did a bang up job developing it. So yeah, we're gonna shoot some colour today. I'm going to take the yellow filter off, so we're going to be shooting some of the colour tonight because we've got Danny's birthday dinner. It is only 100 speed, and I don't really want to push it because that fucks Alex up at the lab, so we're just going to shoot it at 100 and hope that I have enough light. This is a leaf shutter and it goes down to 1.8, so in theory I should be able to get away with like 1/30th at f8 if I need to. At f1.8 rather, sorry, not f8. That'd be a lovely, nice thing to do. We're also going to break out the second Yashica, and that's because where I am is so fucking gorgeous. I think it requires some 6x6. Yeah, it needs a bigger format to capture everything. I've just gone away from the resort for a bit. Like, everyone else is getting massages and stuff, and I can't really be fucked with any of that. So I'm going to throw in some Kodak Gold. Oh, actually, I've got a bit of Delta 400 paper stuck in there. Lovely. Okay. I really like it. I really enjoyed the skin tones that it pulls out, so I'm going to see how it fares with a bit more landscape work. There we go, that's first frame loaded. I think this one first, and yeah, I'm going to level with you. It's a fucking nightmare walking around here because everything's rocks. I'm sat on about 3 rocks, one of them's right up my arse. So if I fall over, I don't really want to break all my cameras, so I might try and find a bit firmer ground. So just fired off a few shots. It's really fucking bright out, even at like ISO 100. I'm still talking like 125th f8, 250 f8 kind of territory, which is lovely, to be honest with you. Makes a change. However, nothing's really like, there's not a lot here. It's a bit like where I've come to is like a sort of abandoned quarry, or like, I'm guessing was like the building site they used to build the resort. So it's just everything's just a bit dead, and I'm like, if I've got colour film, this is not the time to use it. Hilarious really, considering I never use colour film, and now is probably the best time to use black and white film. However, that way there is some lovely palm trees, some nice whiter buildings, just a bit more colour in general. So I'm going to kind of head back towards the resort because I've only got sort of half an hour anyway, to kind of get some stuff going, and I'm going to try and photograph a bit more colourful things. Maybe there's some water slides, I might head that way. It is quite hot, however I'm not burning, I don't think, just yet. No, not just yet anyway. Probably on the back of my neck I'm a bit red, but standard. But yeah, so far the 2 Yashicas, they're doing God's work, mate. 10 out of 10 would recommend to a friend. Yeah, I've got to realise that I've got to do the dumbest walk back. I can either walk down past everyone, not going to do that considering they've all seen me scrabble up these rocks, or I have to go back the other way up the hill. So I think we're going to be going back the other way up the fucking hill. I was genuinely quite impressed with all of the colour film that I shot here. ProImage did exactly what I thought ProImage would do. Kodak Gold did exactly what I thought Kodak Gold would do. But even still, it's nice to get some colour results back, and I think it keeps me a little bit honest. So I'm going to start throwing some colour in a bit more, I reckon. After we'd all met back up and gone and got changed for dinner, we headed to the restaurant, which was in a little town about a 15-minute walk away from the resort. Before we got in the complimentary tuk-tuk to get there, though, we had a little portrait shoot. You know, it's Danny's 30th, I want to get some photos of her, and we don't get to see Alan and Kira all that much, so it was nice to get some photos of them as well. Shot this one on our balcony that I really like, 1/30th of a shutter, 1/30th of a second at f1.8 for anyone who's wondering, on ProImage 100. A little bit of motion blur, but what can you do? We jumped on the tuk-tuks, we let the girls go first, and me and Alan walked half the way and then got on the back of the tuk-tuk, and I was convinced it was going to be doing wheelies all the way down the dirt track, and had probably the best meal we had there. Hilarity was not in the resort. They put in sparklers for Danny's ice cream pudding thing, and then even offered to give us a lift back on the tuk-tuk. I personally declined, as I'd eaten a massive cheese pizza and felt I would be violently ill all over the bloke's neck if I was in the back of one of those tuk-tuks. But after we got back to the resort, it was a quick drink, game of cards, and I believe we were all in bed by about 10:30, which, if that's not a 30th birthday, well, I don't know what you're doing, quite frankly. Well, day 5 was with us, and as the first day of Danny's 30s, which I didn't ever stop reminding her about, was sort of one of the days that I needed. It was literally everything we'd asked for when booking a holiday in Greece. It was standing or laying by the pool, sipping what they said was Diet Coke, but I'm 90% certain was like Lidl value cola. It was perfect. It was heaven. It was hot sunshine. It was dips in the pool. The buffet lunch was once again nothing really to write home about. However, we did finish the day right by the beach. After I'd got out of the sea, I decided that it was time to shoot a little bit of colour film. So I wanted to finish off the roll of Colour Plus and also finish off the roll of Kodak Gold. I think I'd only used about half of it so far. I became slightly obsessed with this weird beach hut lifeguard tower thing. I never saw anyone in it, didn't see a single lifeguard on the entire resort, 90% certain it's there just for aesthetics. But I shot a few shots of it that I really like, and also shot some of the sort of weird parasol things. I don't really know what they are. But yeah, finished all those rolls up, and then went back to loading in some Kentmere 200 and made sure to put the yellow filter right back on after giving it a decent clean, because it was pretty filthy. Well, day 6 was here, and it was our last full day of the holiday. So we made sure to make the most of it. We had an incredibly lazy morning, to the point where we'd missed the buffet breakfast. I know you're thinking, what an absolute shame that was. No, we actually went and brought an incredibly expensive corner shop breakfast. The resort did have a corner shop, however, paying €4.90 for a packet of Oreos was not what I had in mind. It was actually cheaper to buy cigarettes there than it was to buy a chocolate bar, just putting it in some perspective. We headed to the pool and the beach, as per usual. I finally remembered to read the book I'd dragged all the way to Greece, rather than just using it performatively like everyone else does in the world currently. After I'd made sure everyone knew what sort of book I was reading and that I was in fact intelligent and cool, we had an incredibly slop lunch again. The buffet did not improve the whole week. It was pretty awful, to be honest with you. And then we figured there was one swimming pool that none of us had gone in. So we wandered over to the other side of the resort, and at this point I busted out my little waterproof camera that I'd been carrying around with me for just this occasion. After swimming and being children in the swimming pool, we wanted to make the most of our all-inclusive privileges for the last time, so we actually headed to the snack bar, which we hadn't really done, to be honest with you, as the only veggie option there was chips, but we thought, why not? They were rosemary and sea salt, so they're actually quite nice. After that, we were supposed to head to an a la carte Italian, which is, I think it's just part of any resort you can like book. if you get bored of the buffet, you can go and pay for a slightly better dinner. But I got there and there was two veggie options, neither of which looked very nice to me. I think it was literally a tomato pasta or a mushroom risotto, and I didn't really fancy either of those. So me and Danny decided to head to the same corner shop that provided our breakfast, and we got a corner shop dinner as well and had a very lazy night in. Today is home day. I have shot all bar like 1.5 rolls, well like basically, holy shit, those birds are huge. What the fucking hell is that? I've got one full roll left, but it's only a 24 shot, and I've got like 6 shots left on another, so I've basically got one full roll, I would consider it, which I will shoot at 400 with a yellow filter. Last night was a bit of a write-off. Dinner wasn't really much, so me and Danny just chilled in the house. Yeah, I don't really know what's to come. It's windy today, so we're not going to do anything in the 2 hours we've sort of got left. We're just going to chill out. I'm going to take advantage of this balcony one last time, and maybe fire off a single shot. Who knows? It'll probably just be like Greek airport shots, because that could be fun. I don't know. All in all though, it's been a very nice relaxing getaway. I've needed it, I think, to sort of revamp my photography things and get a bit of an outlook. Hopefully it sort of kickstarts something in me to go out and shoot a little bit more, because it's just been a bit depressing when you sort of do stuff and nothing really comes from it, and yeah, getting turned down from jobs that you thought were pretty much guaranteed is another one. But you know, you've got to go through that to get to the other stuff, you know. Tough time never last, tough people last. Back to my living room, I suppose, probably. Who's been talking to you this entire time, boring the shit out of you. Thanks, me from Greece. Feels weird talking to yourself from like 3 weeks ago. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest with you. Well, another trip was done. Certainly not the last one with Alan and Kira. I'm sure you'll see them probably next year, if we don't go up to visit them before then. But it really was a good time. I moaned about the food the entire time, but it was all right. Like, it is what it is. But what it allowed me to do was sort of focus more on what I wanted to do with photography, and kind of what I wanted to do with this channel as well. For those of you that are new to watching this or haven't seen any work, or maybe just don't know who the hell I am, I've been a freelance photographer since I was about 18, 19 years old, so we're getting on to over 10 years now. And I've seen trends, I've seen changes, I've seen industry go up and down. I've always had to work part-time or full-time alongside being a freelance photographer. I was never quite brave enough to go all in. However, this year has confirmed to me that I'm not going to be doing it anymore. I'm going to be very much stepping away from trying to book clients, trying to make money as a photographer, and going to Greece really kind of confirmed that to me. I want to tell stories with my images. I want to do projects and become almost like a documentary style photographer. I don't want to have to appease to clients. I don't want to have to do social media campaigns just for one image. I don't want to have to cut my rates in half just so that a client might even look at me. It's got to the point where I was trying to do it whilst I was unemployed, and it killed every passion, and I think it's what caused the rut to begin with. Moving away from my epiphany, we arrived at the airport. Greek airports on a whole, not great. The one we got when we arrived there was essentially half knocked down. The little bit where you collect your luggage, that room felt like it was built in the late 70s and has never seen a lick of paint, let alone a technology update. The part of the airport we arrived to go the departures bit, the board was still one of those old boards. I had to shoot a photo of it, because when's the last time you saw one of those? And then we arrived in the waiting lounge with what felt like a million other people as our flight was full for the ride home. So someone who's nervous at flying on a full flight and has just spent an hour and a half, 2 hours in a horrible airport. I was doing surprisingly well, considering. You know, we dosed up on foreign chocolate for the last time. We tried to charge our phones despite the fact that all of the power sockets were either broken or hidden inside wooden compartments that had no power going to them. I did enjoy my time away, and it did allow me to think and come to the conclusion I've just mentioned. I'd like to thank Chemistry Film Lab for Alex there. He's a legend. He'll always be doing my work. You know, it might not be professional anymore. It might be for books or projects I've got going on. I will still continue to shoot film and probably make videos for this channel about parts of my life in the industry. But yeah, please go and support Chemistry. They are a really, really good film lab. They're putting on film walks and trying to really bring a bit more community together. And I think I'm going to start being a little bit more of a part of that rather than sort of shying away from it as I have been. I would also recommend to photographers to take a trip away. I know creative ruts get to us all. It's not uncommon to hear of a photographer who's going through ruts. I think the best of them do, but there's often cures. People say, oh, buy a new focal length and, you know, go out and shoot. Oh, take some time away from it, don't do that. Oh, maybe you need to change things. I genuinely would consider, like, even if it's a long weekend and you take the money you were going to spend on a lens and you just disappear and try to, you know, give yourself 3 days to make some work in a new location. It really does kind of get things working again. But yeah, that's my advice for today. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the images. I'm going to start a blog up because why not? I don't have any freelance work to do, so I'm going to start a blog that's called The Blog of a Failed Photographer. It'll be linked below. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've deleted all my website, so I've made a new one for this blog, which will just have my archive up there. If you wanted to purchase a print of anything from my archive, feel free to reach out. I'd happily sell you a print, that's no problems. But yeah, thanks for watching. Go out there, shoot some photos, and try to be a better photographer than I am. That's your challenge for the day. Have a good one. See ya.